Welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of PAX 2014. We are live from Sector G. Woo! Thank you. I didn't. Let's try that again. We're live from Sector G. Awesome. And I'm delighted to be joined by Dustin Browder. How you doing, sir, from Blizzard? You guys are showing off Heroes of the Storm. People cannot wait to see this game. They are queuing up in their droves, waiting for years to play it, right?
I guess, yeah, actually.
You guys have a pretty decent queue at the Blizzard booth, though.
We do. We have a lot of people come to see us, and it's always exciting to talk to a lot of our fans and sort of see what they want to see about the games, and it's just a great time to be here at PAX and be able to interact with all the players.
Yeah, so you guys are you've got a sort of a very restrictive alpha at the moment. There's not too many people in it.
Not too many people.
What are you showing off here at the moment? Is it that same build?
It's a very similar build. We've got some stuff that's unique here to the show today. We've got a Nubarak, we've got Chen, we've got Azmodan. These are 3 new heroes, 2 heroes of the storm, a couple of tanks and a specialist there, all sort of rolling in. Some of them are a little bit wackier than the others. Chen, for example, is this Pandaren brewmaster, and he has a very special resource mechanic where he will stop and drink from his keg to refill his energy, and we've sort of tuned him so you're really encouraged to do that in the middle of the fight. So it'll be a big battle raging, and hey, time for a drink, and Chen will drop and grab his barrel and just start chowing down right in the middle of a battle. So
I can appreciate that.
It's a pretty fun character to play.
We're looking at the character select screen here, and it's probably
there's Chen right there.
You got Chen right there. Arthas, you've got, basically, it's just, is it Warcraft, StarCraft?
It's all of them, all rolled together right now.
Is there any Lost Vikings in there?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. Hang on, stay tuned. That's something we'd love to do.
Zeratul. Of course, at what stage do you have to stop putting in characters? Because
I have no idea.
The Blizzard lore is full of...
Well, the lore won't be the problem, right? The only time we'd stop putting in characters is we feel like we've gone up. There's King Stitches there leading this
literally about to say, is Stitches in here?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we really want to go for as long as we can. Once we feel like we're repeating ourselves, maybe at that point we'll go enough. We've got enough heroes, because we want each hero to feel like his or her own unique gameplay experience. So we've got heroes that are a little bit more traditional, like a hero like Vala, the Demon Hunter, who's just sort of staying in lane. She's got a bunch of abilities, Vault, she can spray her arrows, she can do a Hungering Arrow, abilities you might see in Diablo, sort of firing away. At the same time, we got characters like Abathur. This is a infester character from StarCraft 2 who will infest his allies. So Abathur can't fight, he can't fight at all. He'll hide in the base, and then he'll infest his allied heroes on the map, and then you're firing skill shots from your allies.
Oh, cool.
So it's hard to hit a skill shot when you're doing it. Imagine you can't control your own feet, and now you're trying to fire skill shots as you run around the battlefield. So this is a character that's jumping from hero to hero all over the place, all over the map. It's a very difficult character to play, a very challenging hero. This is also a hero that can, when he gets to his ultimate ability, he can actually copy one of his allies, and then you become that hero for a little while. So you have to know a lot of the heroes in the game to play Abathur, because when you clone somebody, you got to know right away what they're capable of and what they can do.
So for anyone watching this who maybe hasn't had any experience with it yet, obviously the comparisons to Dota and MOBAs and whatnot, you guys have been pretty vocal about calling this a hero brawler.
Sure.
What is it about this game do you think actually makes it stand out from
we're going with
big pack at the
moment?
We're
going with 20-minute games or thereabouts. They can go longer, but they generally don't. So a much shorter gameplay experience. We really balance the game around the team fight, so it's about getting together with your friends. We'll have laning phases like this phase here, where Stitches and Sergeant Hammer here are battling against a couple of players, against Tyrael and Tychus, but rather rapidly on a lot of our maps, you'll be asked to come together as a 5-man team and fight. And then you'll be spread out again, and then you come back together again for the big fight. So we're really getting you together as a team. We're also doing a lot of unique things like team levels. You notice at the top of the screen, there's 2 number 2s. Those are the levels of both teams. You don't level individually, you level as a team, because you're coming together as a team to fight against the enemy. So at no point should you worry about taking from your allies. You should never worry that, I don't want to kill an enemy player because somebody else is supposed to get that kill so they can get experience.
So does that mean like last hit mechanics?
No
and stuff
last hit mechanics.
Okay.
You see an enemy, you kill him. That's your job, right? Don't worry about it. It also allows us to do things like this right now. Stitches is off in the middle of the jungle right now fighting against these creeps. He's going to gather seeds that allow his team to get access to a giant plant monster later in the game. Well, there's not a lot of experience being earned out here right now, but that's okay because we have team levels. Somebody else can be making sure we're still farming in lane, we're still gaining an advantage. And this is this crazy battle going to happen here around this giant plant golem. Well, Stitches tries to pick up the seeds, tries to dodge the attacks of the plant golem, while Kerrigan, Tyrande, and Tychus come in and engage in this fight. And this is these kinds of team battles that happen. It's almost impossible to know what the next move is. Sometimes you're dodging, sometimes you're grabbing seeds, sometimes you're attacking the enemies. Here comes a hook. Whoa, there's the big hook on Tyrande, pulling out of position. It looks like they're going to take her down. but just a lot of chaos. Really asking you to stretch yourself as a player to deal with the unexpected. And that's the point of having multiple battlegrounds. We've got 5 different battlegrounds in the game right now, so you never know exactly what you're going to see.
How much the variety is within those battlegrounds?
Pretty significant. So this is a map right now we're trying to collect seeds. We have other maps where you're really just trying to, and the seeds are spawned from creatures on the map. We have other battlegrounds where you're trying to collect coins and give them to an evil undead pirate lord, and then he's going to turn the cannons of his battleship on the enemy. We have other maps where you're going deep underground to collect skulls. There's always something for you to do on the map that's going to pull you together as a team or sometimes split you up as a team, and it really depends on the map on what the mechanics are. You can see, like, we're not even in lane. We haven't been in lane here for minutes, but critical things are happening here. The game is being won or lost in these battles around these golems, and this is what makes it sort of unique.
Yeah, so obviously the team leveling sort of takes away a lot of the individual progression stuff. What about economy within the game?
Yeah, there's no last hit, there's no gold, and leveling is all shared. Now, you do have the way to customize your hero. We think that is important. So we have, instead of a generic shop that applies to all heroes, we have a custom talent set per hero. Okay. And that allows us to do some really extreme things. So for example, while we were developing the game, we did have an item shop that applied to everybody, and that seemed pretty cool to us. And we had ideas for items, like we have an idea for a plus range item. Wouldn't that be awesome if some of our tanks could get a little bit of range? So maybe instead of having a range of 1, they have a range of 3. So now they can kind of reach out a little bit and touch somebody. But then if like a hero like Nova or Vala the Demon Hunter got a hold of a plus 3 range item, the game was broken. So we would go to the balance guys, we want to do a plus range item, they're like, you can have +1, maybe +1/2. You can have this, right? That's what you get. And then, but that was, so it was completely uninteresting. But then we started splitting it out to a customized set of talents per hero, something we could go nuts. You see here that Phil, who's demoing this game for us, one of our artists, has gotten a hold of the plant horror there, and he's charging across the map. He just turned the Sergeant Hammer into a little plant monster there, and he's attacking this town. So this is a very powerful siege weapon, this vehicle that he's in. Some of our maps have vehicles like this where you can become these creatures that allow you to destroy them, and some of them don't. Some of them have whole different mechanics.
So you guys don't have as many heroes as some of the other games within this kind of space.
We're 28 right now.
28, so is that a way of sort of creating more variety there as well?
Like well, any customization system is just going to be good for us at this point. But we're going to be adding more heroes. 28 is where we're at in the alpha. We've got more we're adding all the time. We're just showing 3 new ones here today, and we'll keep adding heroes as we go. And I don't know when we'll stop. I don't know. Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 30? I don't know. When we start repeating, actually I have more than 30 built in the office already, so it's more than 30. But when we get more, we'll see when we sort of run out of ideas. Again, when we start repeating ourselves,
I'm sure the community
start feeling the same, then maybe we'll reconsider how many more we want to do.
I'm sure the community will jump in and give you a couple of suggestions.
Oh, totally. We've had a lot of great ideas already.
Lost Vikings.
I hear you. I hear you.
All 3 of them.
I'm on board.
Walking along.
We'll work on it.
I like it. All right, make it happen. What about other sort of game modes you're talking about? This one is particularly collecting the seeds and stuff. What were the other type of game modes?
Well, another one would be another map that you can be. They're not really modes. When you go into the matchmaker, you're going to get one of these maps, so you don't know, all right? So you got to be sort of flexible and creative at how you engage with the game. We are going to be adding a draft mode in the future where you will actually see the map before you launch, so you can choose your hero, because some heroes do a little bit better on some maps than others, and that's another great way to keep the metagame fresh and keep it constantly changing. As we introduce battlegrounds, it's going to change the talents you're going to want to choose, it's going to change your team compositions a little bit, keeps the game kind of going. But so this is the one of our battlegrounds. Another one that's one of my favorites is Shire. This is a map where you have to control the 2 shrines on the map. There's one near the top and one near the bottom. If you control both shrines simultaneously, it unlocks the Dragon Knight in the middle of the map. Now, if one of your heroes can get to that Dragon Knight and channel on that Dragon Knight, you will become the Dragon Knight, which is this giant engine of destruction that can charge across the map, breathing fire. He's got this huge axe he can smack things with. He can kick other players and pump them halfway across the map to kick them out of a team fight.
He's OP.
He's very powerful, but you only get to be him for like a minute, right? Okay, so you get a very short period of time. And of course, it means you got to control really all 3 lanes, at least for a second or 2. So it really causes players to split up, to deal with all 3 lanes, and then they come together around the Dragon Knight to do their big push. So it creates a lot of teamwork and a lot of strategy, as opposed to a map like Cursed Hollow, where this Raven Lord, who rules over this sort of strange dimension of Cursed Hollow, is spawning these tributes. And he's sort of asking you, gather tributes for me, and I will curse your enemies. And he's very much sort of a Mad Hatter kind of character who's in control of this evil dimension that you come to. And so this is pulling you to these team fights around these tributes frequently throughout the game. Very different experience. About a minute and a half, tribute's going to spawn. It's like the ringing of the dinner bell.
Yeah, yeah.
All players to the tribute. Everybody on your mount. Go, go, go. Get to that tribute. Time for the team fight. Everything is decided here for at least the next few minutes. So it's a very different style of play.
Perhaps one of the biggest criticisms lauded on games like Dota and League of Legends, for as vastly popular and fun as they are.
Very cool games. Very cool games.
Is that there's quite a barrier to entry on them.
Sure.
Blizzard have kind of got a history of doing right by that. Like games like World of Warcraft was the first MMO to really just allow
accessibility is a big value for us.
So
we want it to be very easy to learn, but still crazy hard to master. So the games always look very simple when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
And then hopefully 100 hours later, you're still learning something new about the game. That's absolutely our goal. So we have extensive tutorial systems. We're doing new user testing on that all the time to see how that's working for us. We've got some pretty good bots in the game, so you can play cooperatively with your friends or alone if you want to get a feel for a hero.
Okay, so there is a solo...
Totally. We've got a try me mode as well on each of the heroes. So if you see a hero you like to look up, you can just hit the try me mode button, and immediately you're in a very small map where you can sort of choose what level you want to be at, sort of say, do I want minions, no minions? Do I want a hero to spawn? Do I not want a hero to spawn? So you can just sort of test the water, sort of a very basic sort of arena. You can kind of set up and customize as much as you want, so you get a feeling of how this hero is going to play. You can test some of the ultimate abilities, you can test all of the talents, so even if you're not ready for a cooperative game yet, you can try the hero and see if it feels cool to you, see if it matches a play style that makes sense to you.
Another thing as well, perhaps mostly in World of Warcraft, was the ability that you guys had to, well, I know you invested quite a lot into making sure that the community was moderated properly, that people felt like they were invited into those game worlds. That's another sort of a problem you get with a lot of these games where there seems to be quite a caustic environment, at least when you suck at the start.
It's a huge challenge, right? Absolutely huge challenge. So we're attacking it at a basic level first with the game mechanics. Again, no last hit reduces the mean things I can do to you that would make you upset. Not kill stealing. It doesn't matter, which means, again, you're not going to get angry. It's a lot of the problems the Diablo team solved where they had loot per hero. There was never a scenario where I was going to pick up your loot. It was always going to be my loot. If I saw it, grab it. It's on the ground. It's for you. And so we're trying to do the same kind of thing from the basic level. 20-minute games also help us with this enormously. You're not trapped in a game with somebody for 40 minutes or an hour, and if he's playing not to your standard, right, you're not going to be quite as annoyed because, hey, it's cool, maybe we can get through this and maybe we have a chance to win. And also by making sure that the levels remain relatively similar, we do have what we call an underdog bonus. So if you're behind in levels and you kill an enemy player who's higher level than you, that's worth more, as it should be, because he was higher level. If I'm higher level than you and I kill you, that's worth less, because that makes sense. It's from like sort of a strictly RPG kind of system. So the levels, we try to keep them as close as we can without making it feel like what you do doesn't matter. Right? So a level up or 2 levels up is significant. We try to keep them as close as possible to be in a place where you've always got a chance. It's not really over until it's over. Into the very last minute. For the most part, we've been successful, which, again, reduces the general toxicity because you don't feel like you're trapped in a game where you're doomed.
I guess the counterpoint to that is when you make games more accessible and you start like sort of trying to even off skill,
is that not what it's about?
Well, but
remember, it's not accessible versus hard to play. It is accessible or hard to play. It's not accessible versus deep. You can be accessible and deep. For me, at least, and maybe others would disagree, I feel like Hearthstone shows this very well. The game is very accessible. At the same time, I'm still learning things about that game 200 hours later. I'm counting cards. I'm learning the metagame. I'm able to look and see what this kind of deck is. Oh, it's a Miracle Rogue. Okay, here's how I play my warrior differently because I'm playing against a Miracle Rogue. That's a pretty high-level play for me, and I've gotten to that very deliberately by coming in a very accessible game. So we want the game to be accessible, but if you go up against the top players and heroes right now, you will lose. They are better. Because there is a very strong skill component about this game, a very strong and powerful way to work as a team, to understand the map mechanics, to know when to work together. Sure, you're losing, last hit, but you're gaining all of these different map mechanics from the battlegrounds, the necessary to interact with the mercenaries, and all of the combos that exist between all of these different talents and all these different heroes coming together.
It seems like you're really, you're trying to sort of get the best of both worlds, where you're making a game that has that accessibility factor. Like, how important is esports to you, though, in that respect?
Well, for us, it's always a value to let our community do whatever they want with the game. So we are allowing our players, we're going to do all the same things we did for StarCraft. When we launched StarCraft, we didn't know if that was going to be an esport. That was not a done deal. We would go out, when we go out there, we would say, well, we're going to make this game, but it's probably, esports was not that big here in the United States. Some in Europe, obviously Korea was huge at the time. probably not going to be a big deal, but we did everything we could to support it. We made sure we had a great replay system, a great observer mode, that the game was clean, that it read well, that the art was clear, and the whole team rallied around those values because they're not good just for esports. They're also good for game. They make a good game. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to build all the systems we can, and we're going to give this game to our players. And just like we did with StarCraft, we're going to see what they do with it. You know, do they want to make it into an esport or do they not? That's going to be up to them. And then if it starts to happen, we'll watch and see and do the best we can to support that environment. It's worked very well for us in StarCraft to make a very healthy, very community-focused ecosystem, and that's sort of our strategy for Heroes as well.
Some of your communities here, of course, at PAX, you've got your booth inside. I know that there's an alpha that's currently running. It's only a couple thousand people in there.
Very, very small alpha right now.
When are you guys going to open this up for wider alphas or betas?
Just as soon as we possibly can. We're working on the technology right now and working very hard on our server infrastructure to make sure that that is ready for a large influx of players. We're working on very limited hardware right now, and when we're ready, when we're sure that we're not going to do any damage out there and not be crashing all the time or not causing problems in our other games, we will obviously get it out there, get it into a closed beta and then an open beta and get as many players in as soon as we possibly can.
Cool. Dustin Browder from Blizzard, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
And best of luck. Enjoy the rest of the PAX.